Hi there, I'm Jamie. Welcome to another session of Vista Export Services. In this session, I'll quickly show you one of the many reasons film companies choose Vray multimatte render element over wire color. Vray wire color elements represent the original color of the objects in the viewport. As you can see, this is the wire color represented in a render element. In order to create this render element, simply go into 3ds Max and open the Render Setup dialog. In the Render Elements tab, click on the Add toggle and select the Vray wire color render element from the list. To see the wire color in a shaded viewport, simply right-click on the Shade mode and choose the Edge Faces option from the list. As mentioned earlier, Vray uses object viewport color in order to create the wire color render element. Each object color can be manually changed by clicking on its color swatch. Once the Vray wire color is rendered in 3ds Max, users often open the render element in Photoshop or After Effects and choose the color range option to select individual color in post. More often than not, wire color selections are not 100% accurate as they create edges around the selection. For more accurate selections, most companies and film studios use multimatte render element instead. The multimatte render element uses three colors mainly: R, G, and B. R being red, G being green, and B being blue. To select a specific color, users simply open the Channels tab, hold down the Control key, and select one of the three colors, which are 100% accurate. There are two ways to create multimatte render elements in 3ds Max. The first option is via Object ID and the second option is via Material IDs. To create it via Object ID, simply select any object in a scene, right-click on it and choose the Object Properties option from the list. On Object Properties dialog, under GBuffer Group, type in any Object ID number. Next, open the Render Setup dialog. In the Render Elements tab, add a multimatte render element from the list. The default multimatte parameters are represented by colors and numbers. The red, green, and blue colors are to be rendered in a render element. The numbers next to them represent the objects or materials in the scene. By default, the red color is being represented by Object ID number 1. However, this number can be manually changed. If you are using attached objects with different textures or proxies with multi-subobject materials, you need to create a new multimatte render element and enable the Material ID function. Essentially, instead of rendering Object ID numbers, it will render the Material IDs. To set up Material IDs, simply open Material Editor and change the Material ID from 0 to any of the 15 numbers displayed. Unlike Object ID numbers, Material ID numbers are restricted to 15. Finally, if you intend to use many multimatte render elements, name each one of them differently and numerically. The final result should be multiple render elements with red, green, and blue colors covering many objects in the scene. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please press the like button and I hope to see you on my next one. Also, check my other video tutorials on how to use render elements in post-production. To see more of my work, please check my blog, online portfolio, YouTube, Patreon page, and my Udemy courses.